probably do not restrict yourself too much in your role you have at the moment, because we have been going through that, and to put up implications for a bank, you have to question what is a bank. I'm very serious about that. I mean, we have been somehow blue sky for some of our colleagues, because we have been just saying to them, probably a bank in the year of 2020 is not that what we call a bank today.
Okay.
Because we're looking at different customers, we're looking at different clients, we're talking about different... Also,
you're redefining the future of the bank.
You're redefining the future of the bank, because if the context is different, probably the bank and banking services are also different.
Okay.
So, coming back to that, if you start with the question, what is the role of public service? Probably start with another question.
Right.
Has there to be a public service? It's the same question on the local, on the regional, or the federal level. Does it have to be? And when, what is the effect of that? Because if you start with that question, you will be looking at a different point of view. You will be looking at that what's happening in society, in business, in whatsoever, and then you can make up the right question, because otherwise you're being stuck in that what you already know and what you already seen, and you get into very bad discussions, because you will have a few public servants who have been around the block, and they will tell you, I think this is about public service. As far as the bankers, some bankers told us, I'm into banking for 30 years. You won't tell me what banking is all about.
Alors en fait, dans notre projet de prospective, on a 3 phases, 3 périodes. La première dont j'ai déjà parlé, c'était le scanning qu'on a fait au début. Et la deuxième période, qui va répondre à votre question, on a constitué pour chacun des 8 thèmes que j'avais listés tout à l'heure, un groupe. Donc on a 8 groupes qui regroupent un certain nombre d'experts, mais les profils sont très variés. C'est-à-dire que vous avez des économistes, des philosophes. On voulait des groupes très variés, d'une 30aine de personnes à chaque fois. Et la première chose qu'on a fait dans chacun des 8 groupes, c'est de dire, voilà, nous avons fait ce document, nous avons fait ce scanning. Est-ce que nous avons envisagé tout? Est-ce que nous n'avons pas oublié quelque chose de très important? Qu'est-ce qui, selon vous, est important? Et est-ce que ça se retrouve dans ce document? Et cette phase, elle est très très importante, parce que c'est ce qu'on disait tout à l'heure, on peut être dans sa tour d'ivoire, on peut ne pas voir certaines choses. Et là, vous avez devant vous un groupe d'une 30aine d'experts, pas forcément des experts de votre domaine, mais ça c'est très important. Vous avez par exemple, nous on avait des philosophes. Je vous prends un exemple, je travaille moi dans le groupe risque et protection, et on essaie d'envisager les risques de demain. Et ben on a aussi interrogé des philosophes sur ça, pour qu'ils nous disent leur vision, et on s'est aperçu qu'un certain nombre de choses, on les avait peut-être pas intégrées suffisamment. Donc cette phase-là, elle vous permet de réintégrer des choses que vous aviez pu oublier.
Okay, Ingo, from your perspective?
I'm a deep believer in social intelligence. That is to say, when we have come up with ideas by integrating, I suppose, 100 experts with their ideas on future impulses, and we have been asking them what impact and which uncertainty for that impulse do you have. So with every impulse, with every question you have, really get yourself into trying to have an impact number. It's like 0 to 3. How high is the impact? Because with that kind of assessment, you can have a very good feeling of that what's going to do. And what we also did, we did a lot of mental models with seeing which impacts are probably there from one factor to the other. I mean, with such a lot of impacts, and we had identified, before aggregating that to the structural dimensions of change, you have it in our publication, we have identified some 80 things. And we started with 160 things.
Okay.
So we have run through a lot of aggregation in that. But you have to do that, you have to have these mental models and those, not matrices, but more like how does one factor result or affect the other factor. So, and then you can make up your mind of what is really of the highest impact, probably.
Okay, Bill in Australia? How did you go about differentiating more from less important?
It's very difficult because the process we went through was to get the 10 best ideas in 10 fields. and that's a very difficult process to get the weak ideas come through. A great effort was made through the opportunity for people individually or as groups to lodge submissions. So, 8,700 submissions were lodged. So, there's every sort of idea there. The trouble is then to take it through so that, a particular idea was taken up. But in a lot of cases that was done. I was just flipping through just on the health one, for example, because somebody mentioned that. The specific ideas that have come up are really quite remarkable. Create a national preventative health agency. Take steps to make healthy food choices easy, and a whole list of things that can be done. Promote translation of research into commercial and clinical benefits of the bionic eye, and then that's just three of them. Okay. So it's a whole set of really quite specific policy proposals. Now I'm sure many of those didn't come with the 100 best thinkers who were present on the day, that they came up through the system. So it's I can't say, no, this was a first attempt. I mean, give us a break. I've already done this once. And presumably in the future there'll be an effort to go further. So there's already a huge agenda for the government to follow. But I do agree with you, soft ideas are not necessarily bad ideas. Right. Getting them to be heard is not easy. This was a process which at least threw ideas into the pot, and then certainly it was a bit of not a 100% process in assessing all of them in the short time available, but it wasn't too bad.
Key lessons learned: fight for ideas, but do not fight too strong. That's for your groups, because you will have a lot of discussions. I mean, it's like you said, Stefan, I really like this, what you said, that you always have to have this esprit. And of really if it doesn't hurt, it's not good. And it will hurt. And this is what you have to know from the beginning. If you're not ready for taking quelques blessures, you should not probably go into that, because you will have to let go of certain ideas. I mean, I have also some ideas, especially in my field of interest. I have some ideas, and then you talk with your colleagues, and you fight with your colleagues, and you fight with your experts, because you're like, that cannot happen. So this is going to be the case. Really look to the social fabric of the group. I really like that idea with having pictures of the people, and I really like the idea with the Web 2.0 in a very good way. Use that technology where it's necessary, but also create opportunities to meet up with each other. Okay. Because otherwise, l'esprit gets lost, and this is something you will need to have. And coming back to the content side, always there is no such thing as a scanning phase. We didn't have a scanning phase. We were scanning all of the time in our project, and we still do, because otherwise you get lost of those weak signals. And if some signals are very weak and everybody thinks they're very weak, probably they're the most strong ones. Okay. So always pay attention to the weak signals.
Là, je rejoins ce que disait Ingo. Vraiment, vous devez tout le temps vous sentir heurté par quelque chose ou par l'autre. Si vous sentez que les choses vont toutes seules, qu'elles glissent toutes seules, c'est qu'il y a un problème. Vous devez tout le temps être remis en cause dans vos certitudes, dans vos jugements, dans ce que vous savez. La deuxième chose, c'est que, et là je parle en tant que statisticien, donc vous allez voir, ça va vous surprendre aussi, un chiffre, ça doit répondre à une question. C'est-à-dire que le chiffre ne vient pas en premier. Le chiffre, il appuie, il démontre une idée que vous avez. Mais il ne faut pas que vous commenciez par le chiffre et que vous arriviez aux idées après. Posez-vous toujours des questions, et posez-vous des questions, ce qu'on disait tout à l'heure, assez générales, pas trop précises. Il faut arriver à trouver des questions qui soient à la fois assez générales pour être intéressantes, mais pas trop, parce que sinon vous ne pourrez pas répondre. Et c'est à vous de trouver le bon niveau. Et si vous sentez que les réponses aux questions sont trop précises ou trop convenues, laissez tomber et passez au niveau supérieur. Ça, c'est très important.
Thank you very much for your inspirational talks and for the insights and ideas that you shared with us this morning. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.